All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Manufacturing and Transportation Forum. All right, also known as, so funny story, I joined Databricks about 2 years ago, and at the time we hosted the first Manufacturing and Transportation Forum, and the room was about half the size and completely packed. And then we've, inch by inch, increased the size of the room. Every year we've done it. And no matter what we do, we always seem to pack this place. So thank you for making the time to join us here today and hear from a fantastic lineup of speakers. And just can't thank you enough for spending the time of day with us. All right, just to get everybody oriented, if you don't know me already, my name is Shiv Trisal. I head up our manufacturing and energy go-to-market here at Databricks. And I'm going to start this forum off with a bunch of remarks that I'm seeing. One of the coolest things of being at Databricks and working at Databricks is we get to work at the leading edge of data and AI with customers around the world in different industries. And I have the unique privilege of doing this in an industry that matters so much to everybody. So I'll be sharing some of the reflections that I'm hearing, the commentary I see from customers, and just at large, what trends we're seeing in the marketplace. Second, we'll have a round of lightning presentations. As you can see, some really, really cool speakers. We'll have Tom Thomas from Ford Direct. We'll have Sudhir and Demetrios from Lexmark, Haejin from Hana Corporation, and Dominik Mueller from Joby Aviation. So they'll walk us through real world, so it's not just about technology, it's about how do we take all of this amazing platform technologies that we have at Databricks and really apply this to real world problems of actual things that we do in the physical sectors of our economy and the immense impact that digitization and AI is happening is making in that area. So excited about that. And last but not the least, we're going to do a fireside chat, which is devoid of any fires because apparently San Francisco doesn't allow, just kidding. Nothing about San Francisco there. But the idea is we're going to have a good chat with leaders from Ford, who work from American Airlines and Joby about the role of AI in the future of mobility. And I think that's going to be an exciting one. So power-packed agenda. We have a lot of content to get through. But here's the bonus right after that. We actually have happy hour right after that. So this is going to be really, really good because no matter how the speakers do in this session, we're all going to end up happy. So really cool time for us to be here. So first of all, just wanted to thank our industry sponsor. Is the Ernst & Young team here? Or could they not manage to get in because the line was so long? But I'm hoping they'll make their way here shortly. But thanks a lot to our sponsors. Each of the industries have a very, very awesome sponsor for us. We had the privilege of having Ernst & Young be the sponsor this year for the Manufacturing Forum, and we work very, very effectively with them in shaping our mutual customers' data and AI strategies. So thank you, Ernst & Young. So some thoughts from my end in terms of what I'm seeing in the industry. And I do think that in the manufacturing or transportation, mobility, whichever way you want to rename the industry, one of the biggest challenges I see is how do you ignite this engine of innovation that the industry so badly needs. And the first problem that I see often is this reputation of turning wrenches. When you say the word manufacturing, fortunately or unfortunately, the reputation of the industry tends to be, hey, those are like jobs where you turn wrenches. And I'm just like, that is such a lazy way of describing the industry, first of all. But at the same time, you have to have the question, is manufacturing an industry or is it a function? Because no matter what you do, if you read anything about the way manufacturing industry operates, just that distinction of whether you treat this as an industry or as a function can have a very different, can sort of think about the world in very different ways and inform your strategies in very, very different way. From my perspective, autonomy and connectivity is shaping an entirely new generation of products that are continuously connected, generate more and more data every second. And as a result of that, each unit is really just a node in a very, very hyper-connected ecosystem. And what that does is that it opens up numerous addressable opportunities that range from optimizing the performance of that product to personalizing every customer interaction, and at the same time, with the amount of ability and data to process, you discover so many unmet needs, primary needs from your customers that you've not been able to uncover because you had no idea the way that they're operating the products that you built in the first place. One thing's safe to say, there's no shortage of data, right? Whether it's on products, there's so many sensors on so many types of products these days, whether it's automotive, whether it's aerospace. It's really well summarized by the CEO of Ford, who says, in thinking about the digital transformation of that company, the way he's articulated it is really, really cool. The industry is in a really transformative time, and the way to think about it is building vehicles today is more like how we build smartphones. And this is the way he's thinking about it. And the way that the ride in your car or any other vehicle you ride in is going to change just the way Apple changed the call. And that's what we've been used to. So that's something that just tells you that every product is now a software product. And on the supply chain side, every factory is now communicating with the rest of the supply chain. And that has huge implications on the kind of efficiency you can bring into your ecosystems when you're serving your customers. So what's the big deal about that, right? Lots of data, lots of complexity, lots of new things, lots of new ways of looking at your end-use markets and your customers. I'm a student of history, so I like to think about tech revolutions and how things have happened and unfolded in front of our eyes. Some of these things are so slow-moving that we don't actually see the data behind it till many years later, and it always makes sense in hindsight. But think about this in a simple way, right? Any tech revolution that we have seen over the last 20 years or so, one thing's been pretty clear, right? So if you look at winners, they win at the top of the stack. So I started my career as a telecom engineer, setting up base stations in my home country of India when we were going through a telecom revolution like anything else. And the big thing that I saw with the onset of 3G and then the onset of 4G and the onset of 5G, in an era of connectivity revolution, you can see very clearly that the economic profit, where people make money, and the growth in that is so far skewed to the top of the stack that you will be mind-numbingly confused as to how other people think about business strategies. So what do I mean by that? When economic profit for the corporate finance nerds is net operating profit after tax minus cost of capital. I know, boring MBA stuff, but super important, right? It's about how much value you create. It's a measure of the value creation that any enterprise does. And if you look at what has happened in the connectivity revolutions, we've been here before. The value, the kind of profit growth we've seen on aggregate in the apps and data space has been in high 20s, whereas if you stayed lower in the stack in connectivity, you were at low single digits. So it has a massive implication. And I'm a huge movie fan as well. I don't know if you guys saw the movie BlackBerry. It was I think, articulated really well by Stan Sigman, who's the ex-CEO of AT&T. It wasn't the two guys that said the most profound thing in the movie. It was actually Stan Sigman, or the person playing Stan Sigman, which is the problem with the strategy of BlackBerry at the time was, and by the way, BlackBerry is now a very successful customer of Databricks, and they're an awesome company. But the problem at that time was there was only 1 minute in a minute. And that's the problem with selling minutes. And that kind of brings us back to this issue with manufacturing that most companies tend to think about, and how the world is changing around them, is manufacturing as an industry has to go way beyond its primary unit of production. I don't care what you make. It could be the machine, it could be the next airplane, it could be the next car. But at this point in history, or in this point in our lives, you have to think way beyond the primary unit of production. And what we've been teaching people in this industry for years is this is a super linear industry. I mean, Chevron, again, great company, but these chevrons, the way we describe industry in manufacturing is very linear. And it's like you design something, you manufacture something, you service something, and so on. But reality is this is not true because the business of manufacturing is no longer linear. What do I mean by that? Remember what I said earlier? The product is just a node in a connected ecosystem. And this capability of building interconnected services to fulfill your customers' primary needs is absolutely critical to be successful in this decade and the next. And many of the world's most successful companies in this space, many of them in this room today that are using Databricks, are working with this fundamental assumption in their business strategies. So if you think about it, in this future where you have a hyper-connected ecosystem, you think of your products as software platforms that are continuously innovating, and the factory as a node in your supply chain. And products becoming software platform really create tons of value. And the value that they deliver is, think about delivering, your products are becoming delivery vehicles of exceptional features that are serving the customer's primary needs in an integrated experience, continuously communicating back and giving you opportunities to hyper-personalize interactions. And that gives customers their time back. That's super critical given how much customers invest in these kind of capabilities. And in the operations or supply chain space, you have to think about how do I take these asset data, these physical assets, the manufacturing facilities, the processes, and really harmonize and become flexible to avoid any resource waste in the planet. We don't have enough resources to deliver the work that we have to go do. So how do I harmonize this supply chain to have factories connect to your supply chain processes, to deliver predictive maintenance where you have no unplanned downtime, to have a world where quality events or recalls never happen because computers assist human beings in being able to catch these in the manufacturing process, not when they end up in the hands of customers, and not having a situation where you're having a situation in the future where you don't waste a single ounce of energy or resources because you buffer raw materials only what you need, and you produce only what you need to deliver. And none of this is possible without good data. So today you'll hear firsthand from some of the real-world game changers. It's not about Databricks. It's about customers who are using Databricks to the power of the platform to solve really important challenges for their companies, for the planet, and beyond. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce onto the stage Tom Thomas from Ford Direct, who's going to walk us through some of the work he's doing in generative AI.
Right. So the clicker. Okay. Yeah, you want to do it. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Shiv. I'm Tom Thomas. I run analytics and AI at Ford Direct. So who is Ford Direct? We're a joint venture between Ford Motor Company and the Ford and Lincoln dealers within the U.S. and Canada. The majority ownership is Ford, and the majority voting control are the dealers. So we essentially sit in between and serve both the OEM and the dealer franchise network. So the shared goal of the joint venture is to attract, engage, convert, and retain customers as they're interacting at the brand level, let's say on Ford.com, which we call Tier 1, if they're interacting with marketing and advertising at the regional level, which we call Tier 2, or if they're interacting with the dealers digitally or in person with what we call Tier 3 in the automotive space. So in order to do this, over the last 25 years, we've really become the trusted advisor and primary digital solutions and system provider to the dealers in support of sales, service, inventory, parts, and accessories. So if you've ever shopped for a Ford and Lincoln vehicle and you're on the dealer's website, that's a Ford Direct website. If you've ever clicked on a display ad or done a search or received an email or a direct mail from your local Ford dealership that's likely going through a Ford Direct agency. And if you're at the dealership and they're capturing your customer information, looking up inventory, scheduling service, likely on a Ford Direct system. So we don't build or develop these systems directly. What we do is we partner with best-in-breed technology providers that are out there in the dealer automotive space. And so we can give those dealers choice amongst a variety of companies to serve in that channel category. So for example, dealers can choose from one of 6 advertising agencies if they're on the Ford Direct advertising program. Now, the main benefit for the dealers is by helping plug them into a larger data ecosystem that allows them to connect with their customers more effectively and efficiently. So with each partnership that we do with Ford Direct, we're requiring a back-end integration to those partner systems so we can capture the inbound and outbound customer signals and bring those into our Databricks Lakehouse. So for example, we're streaming roughly 1.3 million visitors and all that website activity that they do across 3,500 websites a day. We've got 16 million ad impressions through the advertising channel, through roughly 12,000 daily connections that we've built. We're tracking about 2.8 million in-store signals across the dealer CRM systems. We can see about 780,000 vehicles across all the dealer lots, and about 400 of those vehicles on average transfer between the dealerships every day when a customer wants something different that the dealership doesn't have. And then we capture roughly just under 200,000 leads a day, which turns into about 690,000 phone calls where we bring in all those transcripts for analysis. So we have this highly scaled and holistic view of the customer, the vehicle, and service activity across the channels, across dealers, and across those tiers I mentioned. It's also really the largest source of single source of customer data across any automotive OEM and franchise dealer network that we're aware of. So now, over the last 3 years, we've started to transform our Lakehouse into more of a customer-centric system where we've started to unleash those signals for the same customer, and we started to stitch those together in a time series fashion to create what we're calling like a customer journey record. And we have about 90 million unique customers that are now stored in what we call our customer journey platform, or CJP, and there's about 1.7 billion unknown journeys that we're continuously trying to ID and consolidate. And so with that amount of history, signal variety, and volume, it's highly statistically significant for machine learning and AI. So we continuously feed those journeys into a scoring layer that we can use for next best action strategies, as we call it, to help enhance our partners' product solutions as well as do new product development. So that brings me to the purpose of my organization. We have both external and internal objectives. Externally for our dealers and retailers, it's providing them that holistic view and single view of the customer journey while still allowing them choice for channel partner providers. For our Ford Direct partners, it's giving them access to an unprecedented variety of customer signals in which to enhance their products with, and being able to deploy those economically with a single integration into our system versus going dealer by dealer and hooking into all their back-end systems to do the same thing. And for Ford Motor Company, we're enabling more efficient and effective customer experience by connecting cross-tier journey signals, tools, and data science. Now internally, inside Ford Direct, I'm responsible for producing BI and AI solutions that measure the performance of our products, support better business decisions, creating journey and AI-driven core product enhancements for new product innovation, and producing analytic data solutions as corporate assets for monetization. Now, how do we do that? So you can see these are our departments that fill up the funnel with requests, where each of those is managed through an intake process that, or something might warrant our project management office if it's an extensive effort. Our production and operational disciplines are then brought to bear across business intelligence, data engineering, data science, machine learning, and AI, and platform operations, all supported by a cross-discipline team responsible for data strategy, governance, and monetization. We then consume our data inputs needed for these requests, and we utilize our tool environment to develop solutions. We have a legacy set of tools to fulfill a variety of needs. And some of these are moving towards a more centralized AI platform, which I'll talk about in a moment. And those data inputs are then managed in our Lakehouse and our unified governance environment. And finally, we produce our internal and external solutions. On the external side, those monetized solutions of data as a service, analytics as a service, and software as a service to our constituents. So now on to our spotlight solution. So it starts with a problem statement about how harnessing data at the dealership can be a full-time job. And at Ford Direct, we've spent years consolidating many of our dealers' data silos into a single platform that actually we own, that's in our environment. However, within each individual dealership, it's still a farm load of silos. So you can imagine many roles within the dealership still have to access multiple systems and dashboards to do their jobs. Next time you're in a dealership, you just look at all the tabs they have open across multiple screens at a desk. It's a lot. So our dealer advisory board to Ford Direct, is number one request to us right now is to help dealers simplify their business. And as you can see here, last thing they probably don't need is another dashboard. We also ask them about their use and their understanding and experimenting with AI solutions that are out there in their marketplace. And most of them are using direct revenue generating solutions that are customer facing, that are on 24/7. So texting AI to the customer, email AI, generative responses and communication to them. But then you see on this third spot is better analytics and BI to try and solve that problem that I just spoke about. So last summer, when some of the first open source LLMs became available and manageable within a secure pipeline architecture, we built a solution that harnesses that disparate data within the dealership and want to give that back to them from our system with quick insights that they've never had before. So introducing the Ford Direct Dealer Copilot, and I'm just going to go ahead and let it speak for itself. So volume.
Today, accessing valuable business information is a time-consuming and labor-intensive process, requiring dealers to manually search multiple databases and reports. Copilot does the work for you and is a single point of access to consolidated data that eliminates the time, expense, and hassle of manual data mining. The introduction of Copilot empowers dealers to make smarter decisions by providing access to a wealth of data and predictive AI-generated insights.
Hi, Dealer Copilot. This is my first time using you. Can you tell me how you can help me and my dealership?
Hello. I'm here to help you make informed decisions and improve your business by providing information based on customer reviews and dealership data. I can help you understand your sales history, website activity, service operations, and customer sentiment. For example, I can tell you which cars are most popular among customers or provide information about the inventory levels of specific models. I can also help you understand customer activity and interest, as well as provide insights into repair trends.
Moving Explorer inventory is a key focus area for me right now. Let's take a closer look at the Explorer inventory. Show me the VINs for our in-stock Explorer vehicles.
Here are the VINs for in-stock Explorers. I have grouped them by PEP code to easily see which trim packages are remaining on the lot the longest.
I'm curious if we have enough demand. I'd now like to see what customers I can follow up with on their recent Explorer lead. Which of my customers have submitted a lead for an Explorer in the last 30 days?
There are 5 unique customers that have submitted a lead for an Explorer in the last 30 days. I have included a column for their sales propensity to help prioritize who to reach out to first. The customers with a high propensity are most likely to purchase. Also included are the latest actions taken by both the customer and the dealer.
I wonder if there are customers that have viewed an Explorer online but have not submitted a lead recently.
There are many customers that are indicating they are interested in an Explorer based on their website activity. Several of these customers also have a high propensity to purchase with no recent action from the dealership, making them ideal customers to contact.
Let's try asking about this line of reasoning in a single prompt. Show me the VINs for our in-stock Explorer vehicles and the customers that have signals indicating interest in an Explorer but have not submitted a lead.
I was able to query your inventory, website activity, and leads data. Provided below is a list of your Explorer inventory along with customers that have shown interest without submitting a lead.
Thank you, Copilot. You've uncovered opportunities I wasn't aware of and helped prioritize which customers to target.
Glad to be of assistance. My intelligence is continuously expanding, so please share any feedback you have about me with the Ford Direct team.
Today, Copilot provides users with convenient access to a wealth of information from multiple sources, offering insights that inform better decision-making. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we envision Copilot automating dealership processes and enabling dealers to proactively respond to new data and insights, creating efficiencies and driving business forward.
Okay, so thank you. Yes, so we're getting there. As per the video, I want to reinforce, the value that we're starting to see today and tomorrow with our pilot for the Copilot with a small set of dealers. And today, when it comes down to it, it's really helping the different roles in the dealership do their job. Tomorrow, the way we see it is it starts to do the job, right, or at least parts of the job, or at least the more mundane tasks. So again, it's that moving to that near future notion where labor is spent less on repetitive task-based operation and more on cognitively driven growth. And so ultimately using AI to automate the dealership. So here's a high-level view of our inference architecture. Like I said, when we started this journey last year, I would consider it pretty early to try and develop an enterprise Gen AI solution that's using both proprietary data as well as publicly available social media data. So when we started out, we had endpoints on AWS's Inferentia servers, which were compiled to their own standards. The SQL was generated in Domo, which was our BI tool, and our sample data set was also in Domo. And so it made the users have to pick from the different data sources they would ask questions from. And that we were able to use those tools quickly to put together a proof of concept that allowed us to move forward with the main system that we have today. And so that's where Databricks handles concurrency for all the parallel requests and model versioning. We're now accessing the full customer journey platform in our gold layer within Delta Lake. We're using Databricks hosted foundational models for our agent workflows, result summarizations, chart visualizations that you saw there in the video, and the vector indexing. We're using MLflow for our self-hosted code-generating LLM and our own for direct Databricks environment that's fine-tuned for SQL generation. But my favorite piece of this is this React framework where it's sort of reasoning plus action, where we're using DBRX up front for generating the pipeline instruction set for which models or data sources to use that we're just now calling tools to bring to bear to kind of answer each part of a compound prompt from the user. So this architecture allows us to quickly switch tools in and out without changing the overall flow structure. When it comes to handling current challenges that you hear about when developing the solutions today, no control over the data or models. So our entire solution, logging models, data are also self-contained in the Databricks instance. To managing sort of inaccurate responses, we're using RAG, single and multi-shot prompting to improve the output quality. So it's basically, we're doing an upfront comparison against a vectorized prompt database that we include as examples to refine the original prompt before sending it to our SQL code LLM. In terms of managing performance, we're using MLflow with provision throughput, so we have that sort of guaranteed capacity there when inferencing the more fine-tuned foundational LLMs. And then in terms of managing expense, we're using Databricks' serverless infrastructure, so we don't have to pay for servers with expensive GPUs up and running all the time, and we're minimizing our self-hosted LLMs. And then for getting through the testing process, we're using the Databricks inference tables, so we can record specific information from the user requests, and we're using the live Lakeview dashboard for monitoring everything. And then lastly, how do you manage scope with these? So it's a challenge, right? You really need to bring strong software architects that have that experience, product and project management, and the best AI expertise that you can find. You can't find too many people who have been doing this for more than 8 to 12 months at this stage. So it's right, you take your MVPs and you organize, your prompts library, what's going to be an MVP 1, your feature set where you're doing, single turn, multi-turn, how you're capturing feedback, and then you have your data sources, right? And you organize it by that way. And the way to really understand how to contain each of those elements in those categories is to bring the users up front, right? So we have to bring dealer users who are, prompting this with what they're experiencing during the day, with what their behavior is, and you really have to set their expectations because the responses come back in all kinds of different ways. And they're not used to that when they're doing user acceptance testing for more traditional applications. So they just have to be used to that they're actually sort of training a child or a toddler, so to speak, to get it better. And that helps us control where that scope's going. And then lastly is, evaluating the business value of the solution, right? So always asking the why, the what, the who, the where, from the standpoint of, is there a market for this? What is the commercialization value of that? And then your scope's always adjusting to those needs. So a few features on how we're ensuring the response quality. So, intelligent and governed automated access to the data source, right? So we're building in the data access controls at that agent layer that are aligned with FordDirect security policy. So making sure dealer data doesn't cross between dealership entities. That also helps us avoid additional prompt engineering when we're QAing the SQL results. We're also doing detailed and thorough search functionality during the RAG step. So language is ambiguous. Prompts can also be muddled with dealer terminology and automotive terminology. So we do a semantic search using Databricks vector search on social media data wherever we're doing the response generation for that. And so the way we prep that up is we use an LLM that basically creates 5 permutations on the user's prompt. And then we blend those into one optimized prompt based on semantic vectors before we, actually brings out more of the meaning of what the customer is looking for before we send that to the vector search step. And then lastly, we're using data-guided controls for post-response. So storing all the correct responses into a database can be used going forward for that multi-shot prompting and future prompts before we send it to LLM code generation. And then recursively improving responses where models failed. So using user feedback to help train a judge LLM that corrects those responses and again stores them into a place for future RAG. So lastly, this is our evolving FordDirect AI strategy and architecture. So at the top are our AI-driven strategic initiative pillars that either maximize business efficiency by coming up with custom AI applications to improve business operations across internal departments, as well as elevating our strategic thinking and starting to shift our culture, or maximizing revenue by using AI to reimagine product innovation, our OEM, our services back to the OEM, and ways to directly commercialize data. Now that central AI platform in the middle is what I'm most excited about, because as we started developing the Copilot, we started to realize how its architecture could be reused for a variety of inference-based business applications. So that React or agentic approach allows for a more modular flexibility across user access profiles, RAG templates, models, structured and vectorized data, and really sort of treating them all as tools. So therefore, we don't have to start from scratch when we want to develop a new logic structure for each new AI solution that might go beyond, say, the Copilot. So, in the near future, if you visit a Ford or Lincoln dealership as a shopper or for service, hopefully whoever you're working with will call upon their AI assistant to answer any questions that you may have wherever you are on the premise to maximize your experience and hopefully get you into a Ford or Lincoln vehicle. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That was a great show. So what I loved about that part was this is requiring Ford to really think beyond their own organizational boundary, right? At the end of the day, you have, there are dealers and there are very important intermediaries in how customers are served. But the more important thing that I'm learning from this is, at the end of the day, when a customer buys Ford, they buy into that brand. And the importance of keeping that experience going, it's tools like these that are super important to that. So we're gonna let the team from Lexmark set up here, but super cool presentation, Tom. Appreciate you sharing your insights with us. All right, looks like you're in business. All right, over to you guys.
Hello, can you hear me?
Let me see. No, it's not on. Now it's on.
Check. All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Demetrios Karathanasis. I am the portfolio director for Lexmark's IoT solutions. A little bit about Lexmark. We are a global manufacturer, and someone came up to me yesterday and said, Lexmark, the printer company? And yes, we are known for making printers, but today we're going to share with you how we've evolved into becoming a technology company. Lexmark's mission is we help customers make a lasting impression on their world. So that'll be a common theme for the discussion. Our install base includes 7 million devices. Over 1.5 million are connected to the cloud, and they're distributed across hundreds of thousands of locations in over 170 countries. Now, our path to market is a combination of direct customer relationships as well as reselling through thousands of channel partners globally. Our business model is a razors and blades type business model, so we don't make a lot of money on the hardware that we sell. Our profit is driven through the supplies and the use of the machines over time. So, quick poll to the audience. So by show of hands, how many of you have ever used a printer before? Any printer? It's a lot of people. That's good. Now, how many of you print more now today than you did 5-10 years ago? Not a lot of people. Maybe one, raise their hand. So as we start on the Lexmark journey, let's first start with business challenges. And of course, digital transformation has led to a decline in print. Okay, so that's something that we've had to adapt. And also, our industry is very mature, highly competitive, and really commoditized as well. And we need to deal with other companies who make compatible supplies that threaten the use of our genuine Lexmark supplies and our profitability. So these are some big business challenges. But it's not all doom and gloom. On the bright side, the printer market is still sizable. Print is still mission critical in a lot of business processes and customer-facing activities. I mentioned connectivity. Having that connectivity to all these devices in the field is valuable. And over time, Lexmark has amassed just a tremendous amount of intellectual property with our technology and AI capabilities. So we've identified opportunities in our business. First, how do we ensure genuine Lexmark supplies are being used in our products? How do we improve operational efficiency in supporting our customers? How do we maximize the life of the hardware in the field so that we can keep pumping supplies through it and be profitable? And then how do we stay relevant to our customers? How do we make them happy and how do we retain them? So what did we do? While our competition was more heavy on labor focus, we went in a completely different direction early on and took a technology-based approach. We developed an IoT platform over 20 years ago now called our Optra platform that connected to our devices in the field and our back-end business systems. We also, over time, leveraged Lakehouse, Gen AI, and AI/ML capabilities. And then organizationally, we have 100+ community of AI-trained resources in our business now. And it's not only within our data teams, but also within our business functions, because we determined that this was the best approach to being able to connect the dots in linking the data and insights to business outcomes. So with these capabilities in mind, we identified use cases that are targeted to address those opportunities. First, we automated the supplies fulfillment process for our products. We used machine learning to detect when supplies items were needed, and we created an automated closed-loop process to deliver those supplies to our customers, to where now we are delivering over 20,000 supplies on a daily basis with no human intervention around the world. This is great for our customers. It makes their lives easier, And it's good for us, it lowers our cost, and it's great for the environment, but also importantly, it helps us lock in the use of genuine Lexmark supplies because we control that process now. We deployed predictive service. Our machines are instrumented with hundreds of data points and sensors. And we developed AI/ML models to help predict failures before they happen, to where now we've automated 80% of our support tickets in our business. And that is great at reducing our costs, making us more efficient, but it also increases uptime for our customers and makes them happier. Now, what we call our smart refresh use case leverages AI to help us make better decisions when it comes to the time to replace a particular hardware device in the field. So we look at things like usage, maintenance costs, environmental conditions, all trying to help us maximize the life of that hardware and keep pushing supplies through it to be profitable. And we have now had an increase of 25% in profitability, and it also in turn reduces customer costs. Now with our Optra platform, we can now also explore new possibilities with business models. So we're now going into different as a service and subscription-based business models, and to where now over 40% of our overall revenue is contracted recurring revenue, which gives us a more stable revenue stream from that standpoint. And all of these use cases and results combined have led to happy customers. So we have a 98% customer renewal rate, which is best in class compared to our industry. So I just told you an awesome story. It sounds great, but it was not easy getting here. I mean, we're still on our journey too and still learning. Lots of challenges. It took the perfect convergence of business strategy, technology, and operations coming together to make this successful. And a lot of challenges around data management and how it all comes together from all the sources, right, Sudhir?
Yep. Thanks, TK. So introduce myself. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm Sudhir Mehta. I manage and head Optra Solutions from an engineering and product perspective. So what I wanted to share with you is the top 3 challenges we saw and faced from a Lexmark perspective. So the first was we saw there were significant data silos, when you look at an inefficient, costly data architecture perspective. The second was we saw a data pipeline sprawl, when you look at IT complex infrastructure. And then the third was the timeline. So all of you would be familiar about the time it takes to ingest and refine data. So that was a headwind for us as well. So when we looked at these challenges, before we went down the path of saying, what do we need to do? We tried to identify and realize what these opportunities were. So the first was simplify the lakehouse architecture. So that was an opportunity for us. The second was to really look at implementing a metadata framework. And then the third was look at a way to reduce your process time and costs. So I've tried to represent this in a simple way, 3 top challenges and 3 top opportunities. So what did we do to address these opportunities? We looked at addressing these opportunities through 4 key capabilities in terms of solutions. So the first was we looked at simplifying the data architecture and retiring legacy systems. The second was we looked at enabling connected devices or connected data as an enterprise asset. And then the third was we looked at implementing the lakehouse with a cloud native stack. And then the fourth was we looked at reducing process time and costs with metadata. So these were the 4 identified solutions we came to realize that we would need to build to address those opportunities which I mentioned in the earlier slide. Now the question comes in terms of capabilities which addressed appropriately what we needed to do. The first was we needed to build, and which we did build, was the metadata-based pipelines. So if you were to look from a developer perspective, you don't need to really look at coding. You could just provide the instructions for ingestion and refinement, and then the metadata gets stored in the appropriate LLM or Gen AI framework. The second was we looked at auto-creating pipelines. So in this case, from Optra, on the Optra platform, as DK mentioned, we were able to automatically create ingestion and refinement pipelines. So if you were a developer, you could just tell what Optra needed to do, and it would do it for you. And then the third was democratization of the lakehouse. So in this case, what we did was ingest the data from source with the appropriate entities and attributes. So the lakehouse and the data which is accessible has the ability for accessibility to anyone and everyone. So you don't necessarily need to be extremely technically competent to really look at accessing the information. And then the fourth was we looked at simplifying the promotion. So in this case, we were able to simplify the data which came through in what we would classify as either it's a metadata or an instruction framework, and you wouldn't necessarily need to go through a complex CI/CD workflow. So you really look at fast tracking the journey from development to production. So these were the 4 key solutions which we built and we appropriately addressed with the necessary amount of capabilities. So the next question you would have is, what did the architecture actually look at or look like? So there were certain key capabilities which we built. The first was we built the Optra IIT platform, wherein simply we were able to bring together device and business data to address business outcomes for an organization. We were able to pre-build connectors. So for example, for SAP and D365, wherein there would be a purpose-built ingestion and refinement framework, which would help in terms of processing, consuming, and then transforming into an organized lakehouse. The third area which we built was as it relates to the Optra platform. So if you were a user, you would be able to access the device data, you would be able to manage your devices, as well as have the ability to create personalized alerts. So for instance, if you wanted to create an alert with a threshold of 4 errors, you could create that alert, which would trigger an incident into an IT management system or a field services application. And then the democratization of the lakehouse also helped us to ensure that we were able to automate, we were able to provide the right level of reporting, and also be able to provide the right level of automation from an advanced analytics perspective. So DK mentioned as an example, the predictive AI/ML capability which we built. This is what we have also been able to leverage through what we have pulled together as part of the Optra technical architecture. So the next question I guess we would have is, okay, all this sounds good. What was success for you guys? So when we embarked on this journey, we clearly articulated 5 key success criteria to measure. So the first was really looking at, from an IT data operations perspective, we were able to reduce the process time by over 65%. The second was, from a data orchestration perspective, we were able to reduce from months to weeks, and that was a significant improvement for us. And the third area was, as it relates to data projects, we were able to add and do more projects, 15 more projects in 2024 compared to 2023. And from a cost perspective, when you look at deployment and operations cost perspective, we were able to reduce it by half, so more than 50% reduction. And then from a recovery time SLA perspective, which is an important area to address as well, we were able to reduce it by 95%. So for instance, if you had an outage or if you had an incident, how quickly can you recover? So we were able to improve by over 95%. So these were the success criteria which we defined, and we continue to evolve as we grow in terms of our journey. One of the things I wanted to also share is Databricks has been a great partner for us. So, whether it was building our metadata capability or building our appropriate APIs, Databricks has actually provided us the appropriate insights from evolving our strategy and continuing to grow our journey as it relates to Optra solutions. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to DK, who's going to share more from an Optra and go-to-market perspective.
Thank you. Okay, so you've heard a lot about the internal success story. We've built our maturity quite a bit in this internal journey, and we've actually identified opportunities to create new revenue streams in our business with these capabilities. So now we're taking internal capabilities and we've turned them into new commercial offerings aimed at helping other manufacturers of connected devices with their transformation journeys, okay? So we've taken that same Optra name that we use internally and turned it into the name of our offering, which is Optra Solutions. And Optra Solutions includes a productized version of the Optra platform that is now able to be deployed in helping other manufacturers process the data at the edge and in the cloud for their products. We have an accelerator suite that leverages dashboards and AI ML models that are proven in our business, but become accelerators to enable rapid insights for other companies. And then we have our people and our experience in providing consulting services to help connect the dots and link data and insights to outcomes. When you combine all of these three areas, it leads to powerful end-to-end product capabilities that now become a foundation for new value to customers and in new markets. What's really cool is we've deployed this solution actually with several customers now, and we're excited about the results we're seeing in accelerating outcomes in their transformation journeys. As an example, a company called Dexis, they're a medical technology manufacturer. They make imaging diagnostics equipment. There are hundreds of thousands of them in doctors' offices around the world. The problem they were trying to solve was unplanned downtime of devices in doctors' offices. And they saw opportunities, even with their best-in-class industry-leading products, they saw opportunities to improve visibility, proactivity, and efficiency on their service team. And they quantified that doctors lose $5,000 in revenue per day of downtime of their equipment. So they partnered with Lexmark. We deployed our Optra solution, the platform, accelerators, and consulting. It was really cool to see how the same AI ML models that we use in our own business on printers, how well it translates to a completely different industry and helping another manufacturer. And the results have been exciting. The time to value, 90 days to stand up our solution. They've already started to see a lot of benefits on their service team, projecting tremendous improvement in efficiency and cost savings, as well as improvement in uptime to improve their customer experience. And take it a step further, they're already starting to see improvements in unit sales and customer retention, and they're projecting further improvements there. They're launching new offerings based on our solution now to their customers to grow their revenue streams as well. And their business case for Optra Solutions, the return on investment was 6x just on the first product family and use case. Since then, they've started to add product families and use cases, which is just growing the value and the ROI. So really cool story. And really the thing about it is, let's face it, a lot of manufacturers, everyone in this room, we get stuck in pilot mode when we try to do transformation use cases. So it could help to partner with a fellow manufacturer who understands your challenges, has a ready-made solution on a modern architecture. So to wrap things up, in conclusion, Lexmark is a technology company. We are continuing to help our customers make a lasting impression in their world. As Sudhir said, we're a great customer of Databricks, but with Optra Solutions, now we're a great partner. It's really cool to see how the Databricks technology improves and has a great impact on their customers, but now even their customers' customers. So if you're interested in learning more about our solution and our story, feel free to grab that QR code. Also, Sudhir and I will be at the, what's it called, the happy hour later if you want to ask any questions. So thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Sudhir and DK. Take that clicker, don't mind. DK. I know. All right, thank you, Sudhir. Thank you. All right, that was fantastic. Appreciate the Lexmark team. See, this is exactly what I teed up before. I love it when customers follow up my own message. So you go thinking about your products as connected software platforms and delivering this kind of a connected ecosystem strategy is a hard thing to do. So we're going to get prepared here for Haejin to get ready, but I think we're working through some issues here, clearly. All right, give it up for Natalie. I think you can show some more love. All right. All right, so we went through Tom, thanks Lexmark, and now the distinct pleasure of introducing on stage Haejin Jeong from Hana Corporation. Thank you so much, and let's give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon, I'm Haejin Jeong, serving as the Chief Information Officer and Chief Digital Officer at Hana Corporation in Korea. Well, it's a great honor to be here at the beautiful San Francisco today, sharing our journeys with CIOs, CDOs, the person in charge of data, attending Databricks, AI and Data Analytics Summit. The focus of my presentation is, as indicated by the title, is maximizing data value with Databricks. By the end of my talk, you will see not only the reference of data collection, analysis, and visualization, but also use cases into the role of GenAI-based chatbot. Before I proceed, let me explain what the system means. A fusion of Hanwha and advanced data analytics platform. Hanwha Group was established in 1952, a global multi-billion-dollar enterprise with a diverse portfolio in aerospace, energy, finance, retail, and services. With a footprint spanning the Americas, Europe, Asia, and Oceania, we are South Korea's seventh largest business entity, a member of the Global Fortune 500, and one of the Time 100 most influential companies in 2024. As a flagship store within Hanwha Group, Hana Corporation achieved a revenue of $5.3 billion last year. The corporation comprises three distinct companies, each with a dynamic portfolio in explosives, trading, chemical, machinery, and engineering and construction. To address Hanwha's top priority, an integrated system that seamlessly connects various database and systems across divisions, we urgently needed a real-time unified information interface. Traditional integration methods are expensive, time-consuming, and incompatible with our strict schedule. To illustrate the siloed system, the global division and momentum division use the same ERP CC6, while the ENC division uses S/4HANA. Each division operates with its own databases and systems, resulting in fragmented data management. Additionally, there was an absence of a unified data platform, standardized analysis tools, and a cohesive data governance. Among many examples, I'll guide you through the financial closing process. Before implementing Hanwha's new system, each division's closing staff had to manually report the result to the corporate closing manager. This process was time-consuming due to the numerous manual tasks and the extensive time required to verify data accuracy. Additionally, the lack of data governance poses a risk of unauthorized employee can access enterprise data. By leveraging Databricks, we have significantly enhanced the timeliness and accuracy of data collection. This has removed manual work, allowing power users to focus on difference analysis. Through Unit Catalog and its role-based access control, each division can only access its own data and not pry into other systems. Only selected personnel with specific role and responsibility from the overarching enterprise can only view the entirety of the database system of the organization. This not only is successful in implementing a critical security layer to governance, but has also led to improved data ownership and a pivotal shift toward viewing data as an actual product. Now, dashboards are immediately accessible to both users and top management. This is the most important slide in this presentation. On the left side, we showcase various data sources from each division, utilizing various methods for data ingestion, including JDBC, AWS, DMS, RFC, and OPC. The data is stored within Databricks. Data engineering sector where we perform data engineering tasks and retrieve data using SQL. The SQL service retrieve data retriever and machine learning functions are connected to designated for AI project. Unity Catalog manages data governance and access privileges. Application servers are implemented as EC2 clusters by function, and S3 buckets are organized by division. For visualization, we've developed a dashboard that users can access via Tableau and MS Power BI. GitLab is used for managing development resources. The red line highlights our GenAI-based chatbot, ADA, AI Plus Data Analytics. The global division leverages Oracle Unifier as a project management system. We handle both structured and unstructured data. The ADA converts this data into vector data type on our locally hosted vector database. We employ DBRX as our primary LLM to answer business and general queries from our employees. In summary, our Databricks platform is adapting at collecting, analyzing, visualizing a wide variety of types of data, and it is designed to manage and streamline data operations across diverse data sources effectively. There are two important tasks when building ADA: generating knowledge bases and configuring a chatbot. ADA utilizes the retrieval augmented generation (RAG) approaches and leverages features from OpenAI to generate the knowledge base and configure the chatbot. The left side of the slide illustrates the generation of knowledge base. As you can see, documents and databases are connected to the data embedding application. When data is sent to OpenAI by this application, it chunks and embeds sentences and returns the result. The knowledge base is completed by saving the embedded data stored in our locally hosted vector database. The right side of the slide is the actual user side configuring the chatbot. When the user asks a question, it embeds that question and searches its knowledge base. The chatbot sends that question along with the most similar embedded values from each knowledge base. Then OpenAI generates response and returns the answer while referring to our embedded set of documents as a context which result in the user finally receiving a more cohesive answer than off-the-bat ChatGPT. In this part of my presentation, I'd like to introduce ADA, or Gen AI-based chatbot. There are three main menus at the top of the screen: Q&A, document analysis, and AI translation. The left side of the slide represents knowledge bases, which covers a variety of items related to business. We provide Q&A on Korean legal code, regulations on industry, company policy guidelines, and insights from closed project. Users can select a specific knowledge base and ask questions. Users can also rate the quality of the answers, which is important to improve the accuracy of responses. Typically, people talk about Gen AI-based chatbots that are developed based on document files. But for this particular use case here, we've developed retrieval augmentation for our plant unit teams with connections to an actual project management system with key insights from past projects being readily accessible using natural human language. This greatly improved the issues related to knowledge passover during HR reshuffles, new hires, senior members of the company retiring, being replaced with the new team members with no insight to our previous practice. Key project information metadata, a summary of issues and outcome of the project, as well as a direct link to the project management system at hand via our project management system can be quickly provided. As a next step, we plan on scaling out our setup to other project management systems within our group. People building this system, we thought a lot whether to go on premises or deploy to public cloud. After performing TCO analysis, we decided to select Databricks. Calculating TCO over 5 years, we estimate a savings of $1 million. Another key factor is the reduction of interface cost, which is oftentimes largely underestimated. By implementing standard interface and pipelines for SAP and DBMS, we have reduced the cost associated with the new system development. It is currently inferenced that we can average out to saving around 4 person months of work per system through interface cost cuts with a new system. Manual workload has also reduced when applied to our financial and E&C departments. Manual work time was reduced by 91% compared to our previous estimate. Additionally, by leveraging Excel in MS Teams for data entry, we were able to reduce data entry time to just 1 day. So we are approaching the end. I briefly explain Hana Corporation's initiative to maximize data value with Databricks. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you today. If you have any further questions, please contact me by email. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Haejin. Let me tell you a cool story before we introduce the next presenter. So all the way from Seoul, South Korea, by the way. Haejin, thank you for making the time. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your insights. Cool story about Haejin, just before we hand it over to Dominik. I was in Seoul like last September, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do there, and I haven't been there in a long time. And then happened to meet Haejin over there. He's the most warm person in that country, and that country is really welcoming. But fundamentally, he was talking about all of this stuff back in September as a vision, and here we are sitting in June. He's talking about having saved company money, having delivered productivity to workers. That's the magic of Databricks right there. So thank you so much, Haejin, for sharing that story with us. All right, now we're going to switch gears, and we're going to, go worldwide. Obviously, we went worldwide with Haejin, but we're also going into the future of electric vertical takeoff landing and the future of aviation in many ways. And this is an exciting part of the presentation set for me because I come from the aviation industry. This is a concept that I've seen explode over the last decade or so, and it's so close to reality, and it's happening right here in the Bay Area. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Dominik Mueller from Joby Aviation.
So, good afternoon from my side as well, and thanks a lot for the quick introduction from Shiv and for inviting me. I'm Dominik, and I'm heading our manufacturing software team over at Joby. What we are doing within that team is basically building up the foundation of that and starting from scratch, which is basically the biggest difference to what we have for the other speakers yet. But let's just dive right in. Let's meet Joby. And let's have a look at our beautiful aircraft. So what we are a vertically integrated transportation company. This means we are developing, testing, manufacturing, and will also be operating our own aircraft. We are planning to launch an app-based aerial ride-sharing service to end users directly after we obtain FAA certification. We currently are roughly 1,900 employees worldwide, with the major facilities here in the Bay Area, our HQ in Santa Cruz, we have a facility over in San Carlos, very close to here, in Monterey County, Washington, D.C., and also my home base back in Munich, Germany. So, after we were founded back in 2009, we basically iterated towards what we want to certify as our aircraft. We started a subscale demonstrator back in 2015 and basically moved along, flying full-size aircraft since 2017, iterating closer over a pre-production prototype to a rollout of our production prototype from our pilot production facility last year. The goal now, moving further, is having an FAA-certified aircraft and continue to iterating towards that. So, why our aircraft? Why is our aircraft the correct market fit for what we are thinking it's going to be? First of all, our aircraft can carry 5 persons, which means we're gonna have room for 4 passengers and a pilot that's on board, which equaling to about 1,000 pounds in total. We're targeting a range for a trip for up to 100 miles with speed to up to 200 miles per hour. And what I just noticed you can't really see due to the voiceover is what we are really proud of, the noise footprint of our aircraft. Because what this comes down to in the end is community acceptance. So we are proud that we are roughly reaching 45 decibel in cruise. To put that into perspective, this is less than the average conversation. So if I would now talk to you, this is less. So first of all, what is an eVTOL? As Shiv briefly described, it's electric vertical takeoff and landing. So what you see on the right slide there is basically our different flight phases. We're starting vertically, we're transitioning over to cruise, and then landing vertically again. eVTOLs are part of the highly regulated aviation industry, which means safety is at the forefront of what we are doing in every process and embedded everywhere. The unique challenges now from our industry is that we are expecting to be producing in lower level automotive numbers, which means we need to take that safety part, do not compromise on that, and scale that up and enable that. So how do we do that? Basically, we identified manufacturing as one of the key players to that. But however, we cannot see that as an island solution. And especially as we are a vertically integrated company, we need to make sure we are looking at the whole value stream at the same time. So everything upstream from manufacturing as well as downstream, all at the same time. So we are looking at, for example, engineering, so the people that are designing our aircraft. We are looking at planning, who are making sure we're executing milestone after milestone on our path to certification. We're also looking to stay on budget, working closely together with finance. And the other two are especially important to talk about here. As we are vertically integrated, our supply chain is complex. We need to make sure this works hand in hand together with manufacturing, so all our parts arrive at the correct time, in the correct quantity, in our production facilities. Quality as well. Another very important aspect, as mentioned earlier, safety is our #1 priority. So we need to make sure we are manufacturing a high quality product where we are tracing every event and every known conformance. So, looking at manufacturing as a key factor, how can we make sure manufacturing is operating at its peak and supporting that from a software perspective? We're doing that by creating a holistic software suite, basically by looking at the end-to-end process of what the customer needs. We're doing this by providing everything from infrastructure, so down to service, software, and also supporting everything we do throughout the entire life cycle. Our approach to that is quite unique. We are combining all the cloud-based world, but doing it right down to the edge. So we are making sure we're having a footprint on every factory we run. This enables a couple advantages of what we are doing. We have all the nice features we all know from software as a service. So scaling, management, you don't need to boilerplate everything. But we also enable our people on the shop floor with high speed, without needing to go to the internet, and high redundancy. People can work offline in our factories, making sure we are always up. So we've been looking at all of these things. How does it look for a concrete example? I brought with me today what we call our shop floor management. Our shop floor management is a tool that manages everything shop floor we do. So it's a central point where our operators, supervisors, and similar go to and do their work. What we are doing is basically integrating with all the departments, all the systems we talked about, and make that information available to them. in exactly the right time, in exactly the right amount of information. Let's take an example of how we are doing this, because we are doing a QR code and mobile-first approach here. Let's imagine a workstation in a factory. It has a QR code. You take your mobile device, you scan it, and everything happens around you. So basically, you see your work instructions. You know what you need to do. You know which parts you need to get, and similar. And then also the third aspect on that slide is equipment is connected to that as well. So we are making sure everything configures around you being instantly available, basically at the push of a button. Let's dig a little deeper into what we are doing with machines. On the left side of the slide there, you can see one of our AFP robots. AFP stands for automated fiber placement, and it used to build large composite structures. So imagine like an aircraft wing, for example. They are very efficiently built with those kind of machinery. Those machines do offer a variety of different data, which you can tap into. This might be transactional data, for example. This might also be positional data of the head of that, or general things you need in order to trace what it's doing. We then take that data and move it into our platform, which consists of a different amount of brokers, making sure we take the correct action of that data. This might be a notification to the operator, for example. This might be triggering a different workflow. And lastly, this is also streaming the data up to Databricks. Because what we want to make sure with capturing that machine data, we want to make sure we always know what's going on, and we can provide traceability to every work stream we have in our factory, ensuring our aircraft is safely built and we are always informed what's happening. Machines are obviously only one very small use case where we are putting the data into Databricks. So we need to think about what are we doing with that data? And apart from giving that to data scientists, software engineers, we want to put data to the people. So basically, speaking frankly, democratizing data. I brought two different personas here for you today. One, I like to call the manufacturing engineer. So this is a person that has touched some kind of code in their life already. They know a little bit of Python, they know a little bit of SQL. So they are able to go into Databricks, build in their notebooks their own scripts, execute that on existing clusters, and then run different kind of automation to that. This can be very different. So that can be automating a machine, because this might be a controls engineer underneath, or similar. The second persona I want to talk about today with you is the project manager, so a non-technical person. What are they interested in? They are generally interested in doing reporting on existing data that's there. That might be special KPIs, that might be checking if we are on track with the whole project. Also overall equipment efficiency when we are looking back at machines. For those people, we are able to offer that professionally engineered data to tools like Power BI, which makes it easy to basically self-serve. And we have an enabled customer, which we don't need to support with professional software engineering. What we are always doing at Joby, we are asking us, what's next? How can we get better? We ask the same thing when we're talking about data. So how can we continue to act on that and continue to provide further efficiency for our manufacturing lines? We turn to AI for that. So first of all, what needs to be said here is we're taking a very conservative approach with AI. Because remember from the first slides, safety is our #1 priority we have here. This also means all the AI tools we are building, they are targeted at subject matter experts. So this is a person that can judge the outcome of it and can also override it if the person seems, kind of seems not like that's the correct answer. So let's get into the first example here, knowledge management. As we all know from working at different companies, managing your knowledge is a stand or fail situation. If you're doing this very well, your company will likely thrive. If you're not doing that very well, usually companies are in trouble. So what we are doing here, we are taking the data that's already in Databricks from all those different processes we talked about, adding documents to that, which might be, for example, process documents, and giving a prompt interface to our users. So they might ask, how do I do this process here? They get an answer for that which says, yeah, do X, Y. But they also get, and that's critical here, a list of where this data comes from. So with their subject matter expert knowledge, they can judge, is this correct directly, making sure safety is at the forefront of what's happening. The second use case I want to talk about is OCR processing. For people not familiar with the term, it's basically getting an image, getting a PDF, and read the data from it digitally, process it afterwards. So as much as we all like to go fully paperless, reality is we still have documents, we still have paper in any factory there is in the world. So we are taking a two-way approach for this. The one side, we are processing this deterministically, meaning we are connecting to all of those systems and all of those departments earlier, trying to match data in conventional ways. The second way we're doing it, we are prompting an LLM for this, for the same exact answer. We're using the DBRX model within Databricks, as it's offering us a closed environment where we can put proprietary data. We then take both of those outcomes, deterministic and the LLM one, and calculate a probability. How probable is this I have correct data here? Giving a base for our SME to judge on this and see if he wants to move forward with this. Because, and I can't repeat that enough, safety is at the forefront of what we are doing. The third one, and Shiv touched a little bit on that earlier, is predictive maintenance in manufacturing. As we all know, if we have downtime for machines, this can get costly very quick. So we need to make sure machines are maintained in the correct point in time, because every machine needs to be maintained somewhere. So what we are doing, we are combining all the data in terms of this is our schedule, so this is how our production is looking over the next amount of time, and also all the data we are collecting from the machine, comparing that to, okay, what does the manufacturer of that machine actually recommends us when we do the maintenance, and then calculate the optimal point in time. Ideally, we're getting to a world where, and Shiv had that on his slide, we have zero downtime of that. We're not there yet, but we will hopefully be one day. So, to summarize, what are we doing in order to enable that novel type of industry to be in a highly regulated environment, while at the same time scale to unprecedented amounts? We are taking care that we are not looking at anything we're doing as an island, rather integrating throughout the whole process chain, democratizing data, and utilizing latest technologies to give an optimal output. So thanks a lot for everyone, and let me know if you have any questions along the way later.
All right, thank you, Dominik. So this is fantastic to see. Like I said, this is one of those things that happen once in a lifetime. And like I said, as a former aviation buff, this is super exciting stuff. So thank you for sharing the story with us. And I think it's super critical for somebody who's starting production to have all of these things in place on day one. And it's amazing to see the Joby team investing in this on day one as they ramp up production, because without this, I think it'll be very hard to scale. So exciting stuff, Dominik. So without further ado, this is sort of the main event for the forum. As you can see, the fireside chats without the fire are really fire. So excited to have, let me introduce some of our key panelists here. So starting off with Eric Allison from Joby Aviation. Let's give him a round of applause. Speak your way up. All right, Chaitanya Kommidi from American Airlines. And last but not the least, let's welcome back Tom Thomas from Ford Direct. All right, Dominik, where's my microphone?
There it is.
All right, so as you can see, we pretty much, definitely on, yeah. All good? All right, a little AV check here. All right, guys. Well, first of all, thank you for making the time to be here. I know you all have really, really busy schedules. And you know, like I said, this has been one of the cooler things we have been doing off late, is doing these fireside chats so people can actually hear not just presentation, but actually like the thought behind what decisions you guys make on a day-to-day basis. And there was so much interest in doing something around the way the mobility landscape is changing. Like I said, I was in the aviation industry, and I thought the world was going to be more and more exciting, and it definitely has been. So let me just say, like, you all come from different parts of the industry, so it would be good for those of you who don't know them. I think it would be great for you guys to just do a quick introduction, what you're responsible for at each of your companies. So we'll start with you, Eric.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Shiv. Thanks for having us all here today. It's great to be here talking to all of you. And my name is Eric Allison. I'm Chief Product Officer for Joby. For Joby, this means a bunch of different things, but one of the key things that I do is work on the development of the different platforms that we're building to run our airline piece, the service offering, to put the airplane into everyday use for anyone who wants to use it when we launch our service, as well as what I like to think of as this factory operating system that Dominik talked a lot about that we're building, and all of the data engineering and analytics and data science that goes in and wraps all of this together that effectively powers Joby from a data standpoint.
I'm Chaitanya Kommidi. I'm from American Airlines. I'm the managing director of Crew Technologies, and we have a big entourage of American Airlines. American Airlines employees, hey, raise your hand. So there's a reason for that. We've been using Databricks for a long time. This is my second/third conference here. So my current mission, right? My current mission is very similar to what you guys do, making sure that we get operation excellence. And when I talk about operation excellence, we are talking about data address, data stream data, analytics, insight, and so on and so forth. So it's a fascinating industry to be in, aviation, and it's fascinating to see how the industry is changing with the tech first mindset. So looking forward to the conversation.
And hi, everybody, again. I kind of explained a little bit of all my responsibilities and how we do things. But ultimately, I'm responsible for your typical analytic functions, business intelligence, and all the data engineering that goes behind that, data capture from a customer standpoint. But ultimately, what we're really trying to do is help our dealers, help Ford Motor Company make a more efficient and effective connection with the Ford and Lincoln customers and owners, shoppers and owners. So my job is to action the data. We have sort of 5 strategic pillars at Ford Direct, and actioning the data is really my area of responsibility. Databricks really supercharged us in the last 3 years, especially in the ML and data science and AI spaces. But it's also helped us really build our sort of customer journey platform that we started a few years ago, and there's been a lot of great tools that we've been able to bring to bear to make that a very usable asset, and it's been a very excellent platform for which to build data products off of to meet that efficiency and effectiveness goal.
Awesome. So you all come from different parts of the industry. You know, there's a few common themes, though, right? Like I had literally while all of your presenters were going through this, right? So there's obviously mobility, but electrification and the need to sort of deliver a frictionless experience and handoffs around that has been sort of a consistent theme. So two-part question for me. As somebody who came from aviation, safety, reliability, and efficiency are like absolute, you can't negotiate with that. So how are you using AI to advance those fundamentals? Let me start there. Like, any of you, how you can go ahead and start.
I'll start. Airlines, right? Safety is non-negotiable for us. So safety plus operational efficiency. And we keep talking about operational excellence, right? I just want to define what it means for us, what it means for American Airlines. It's about giving back or keeping our promise, right? Effectively and efficiently, both for the customers as well as the company. And with added that with safety, we're talking about AI will play a significant role, period. Now, the question is not whether AI will play a significant role or not. The question, I think, for us is where are individual teams in their data journey? Because I want to explicitly tie in data with AI. Without data, there's no AI. So don't listen to the hype masters in the world, right? It is about data and AI. So the way we approach this is we meet our teams where they are, we meet where the use cases where they are. So some teams are starting out their journey. So for them, the first step is about annotating the data. We saw awesome, cool presentations today where they're talking about annotating the data. The second step, in a way, as I think is, again, it's all about meeting where the teams are. If you already have annotated the data, we are moving rule-based systems into ML models, and these teams have done it. And the third step is, in a way, again, is if you already have machine learning models, you already have optimizing your objective functions, think about making sure you have a ML ops, essentially where you're trying to remove the drift. So in terms of whether AI and data will it provide a value, there's no questions. I mean, it's not a hype cycle or anything. It is the reality. The question is, how do we and when do we change ourselves to meet where the industry is?
Makes a lot of sense. And so safety, obviously big topic. I think Dominik mentioned this, Eric, in the Joby presentation, which is we're taking a very measured approach towards AI. But obviously the safety aspect notwithstanding, like very important. But like if we move beyond, say, safety, like what are some of the areas where you see AI having a tremendous impact to Joby, right? Like in the way that you think about the future, the way that you're going to go deliver the service. Like you said, you're equal parts airline, equal parts aircraft manufacturer. Like how do you see that progressing?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I mean, so we have the luxury in some ways of thinking about a lot of these questions from scratch. So we're building all of this for the first time. I mean, there's not an on-demand airline really that exists today right now. You can't open up an app and just go, press a button and go walk out and jump in a car that takes you to an airplane to fly away. That's what we're building. And so to do that, you have to think about some of these problems in kind of a fresh way and think about building systems that are integrated together from the very beginning so that you have the right type of models that you're building that have pilot models and airplane models and infrastructure models that you can constrain on in real time as you are matching rider requests coming in with your first and last mile solution. In our case, Uber was one of our key investors and partner that will provide that connectivity for us. And so we really have to take that fundamental approach of like, what's the architecture that we're building? And then how do we actually build into our architectures a way to collect the data that we need? And it's not just from that airline perspective, it's also from the vehicle perspective, because we're designing and building these vehicles from scratch too. And so in every one of our test flights right now, we generate, I don't know the number, I can't remember the number, it's a gigabyte a minute, 2 gigabytes a minute of test data. Electric airplanes are just data machines, that there's so much data that's being generated, we have to decide what to not keep. So we keep a lot of it, and we store it all in Databricks, which is our key kind of data platform for this. But we have to then be able to think about the way we store this data and make it accessible in a way for all of the right subject matter experts in a consistent way. I mean, this is really important, right? That if we do a test flight, we build these pipelines that securely upload all this data and as fast as humanly possible, basically, to get it in the hands of our subject matter experts that are reviewing the data after every flight. And we know with full confidence everyone's looking at the same thing and they're using the same platform. So this is the foundation. And then it's what do you add on top of it? What are the layers that you start to build on top of this then that you can start to think about how do you use AI in the right ways to augment what our subject matter experts are doing, but doing it in a way that is compliant, right? Like, because it's safety, but it's also compliance. Yeah. That it's a highly regulated industry. You have to think, and the FAA has taken a very measured approach to this, and we have to take a very measured approach to it as well. So we create ways for employees, for engineers to try things out. We create sandboxes that are walled off from production so that you can try things, you can see where there are benefits, and where you need to do the extra work on compliance to really then have a huge benefit.
Dom, any thoughts from your perspective, like going beyond, like you shared a few examples, in your presentation around how do I give dealers better access so they can go, serve customers better. What are some of the things that you're seeing, like in terms of being able to go beyond just that core value? What do you see as the next wave?
Yeah, so another area of responsibility of mine is how do we, automatically sort of supercharge our partners' channels, and those are areas that's like it's like the edge of where we're containing all the data and the customers interacting with it within each channel. And we sort of do that in the background or behind the scenes on behalf of the dealer. They don't really understand, and have the capability to worry about creating an efficient digital ecosystem for the customer. So that sort of frictionless customer experience is really what we're focused on. So, we've been able to pull and capture all these different types of channel signals and customer behavior into our Databricks Lakehouse. And that's really allowed us to sort of maximize those 4 quadrants of, descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive analytics, and then start to use the data science that we have in place to move faster towards that next best action. So what is that next best experience for the customer wherever they may dwell in a place where we capture their data? So, and it's going beyond just sort of describing what the next best action should be based upon predicting where the customer is going to go next that achieves success with a transaction or a good experience, and really figuring out how to take that descriptor and build a prompt out of it so that it feeds some sort of generative experience for the customer. Maybe it's something multimodal and where, on the website or when they're interacting with a different kind of chatbots, for example. So if we could do that just at the dealer level and then share the data properly across those 3 tiers with the OEM as well, then you end up having this new value that gets created by more efficient use of media and marketing and incentive dollars across the tiers. And then you also start to be able to understand like who is the best for new revenue streams for Ford, like interactive services, accessories, things like that. Otherwise, it's all about, the good old stealing share, between the auto companies.
Yeah, so I mean, nothing's really gonna take off for you guys unless you have a deep understanding of your customers. So that makes a lot of sense. So let's talk a little bit about like no AI conferences complete these days without the mention of generative AI. So I know your views on this, Tom, because you presented on this explicitly. But Chaitanya, like, question for you, like, have you jumped on the generative AI train? Has it been, what's been your journey at American Airlines? How are you, what's been your, like, how's the experience been jumping into this train? And have you encountered any roadblocks? Like, how do you see it?
Well, I'll have to thank Gen AI for a few things. 2 years back, when we used to talk about AI, ML, and data in general, I used to get shrugs from my counterparts, if you will, right? But after OpenAI, ChatGPT, the tables have reversed. I mean, the hype machine, if you will, has gone.
It kind of works itself.
Right, works it out, right? But the key thing is, the tables have turned where my business counterparts are asking, what can we do? What else can we do? You have been talking about data, MLA, and so forth, right? So the greasing of the skids, as you say, is not needed. So I would say Gen AI has as an added advantage for technologists like us. That's the first thing. And the second thing you asked about what are we doing? We are in an approach for, especially with Gen AI, we're doing POCs and POTs because we want to learn, be aware, then adapt, because we're talking about operations here. So we want to be careful. At the same time, we don't want to be left behind. But I have to say, thank you, Gen AI, because it just definitely greases kids.
So as you're thinking about those POCs, what are some of the areas you're going after first in operations or customer service? Like, what areas are you going after first?
So compensation, which are non-operational, are those use cases that we are looking at when we're talking about analysts, right? Getting the right answer. And then even if you get an answer that is, I would say, 90% right, 95% right, because you can still have the fudge of being wrong 5% of the time, but we're not going into the cases of around scheduling, operations, and so on and so forth. So again, as I said, the key mantra, if you will, is be aware, learn, adapt, and come back and do that loop all the way around, because sometimes it's okay to be the laggard in certain areas, and it's okay to lead in certain areas. So Gen AI is some topic that we are keeping a close eye on. For operations, we want to watch it out.
Eric, thoughts on generative AI? I know you mentioned a little bit about it, but how are you guys thinking about that? Like, first of all, are you on the train? Let me ask you. Wrong question. Are you on the plane? But like, how do you think about that? Like in your industry, where you are in your life cycle, like how are you exploring opportunities there?
Yeah, so I'm quite interested in not just the kind of out-of-the-box applications in some sense. So we're exploring that. We're looking at ways that we can build RAGs and we can use it for knowledge management, like Dominik was talking about. So some of the kind of more, I'd say, typical things. But we're also trying to create sandbox environments that let people explore other things that are like less in the box. And Joby, because we're vertically integrated, we actually have a lot of data and a lot of unusual data. I'll give an example. We have a number of machine shops, and Dominik was just talking about some of the software that runs these shops around the world. We've built thousands and thousands of unique, really difficult to program parts over the life cycle of Joby. We own all that data. We own all of it. It's all in Databricks. It's all in the same place. We can access it. We can do interesting things with it. I think this is some of the interesting, or it's one of the advantages that we bring from this vertically integrated perspective, because we have this really unique, unusual data. And what can we do with that? Can we think about, you've got a bunch of thousands of G-code files. What can an LLM do with that? It's kind of interesting. And then there's other things as you start to look at other of the kind of like the more hard engineering pieces that we have all this data on because we're completely vertically integrated doing this. I think there's a lot of opportunity there, but we have to be careful because that is, again, as you move into design, as you move into engineering, as you think about really interesting applications that might be there, there's a lot of compliance that has to be maintained. And so we're being very, very measured and cautious as to how we look at anything that moves into production. But we've created environments where our employees can explore this and actually start to see and demonstrate some of these benefits.
Fantastic. Well, I'll say I could talk about this, for hours with you guys, which we will at happy hour. But for just kind of a wrap-up question, and I like to do this with all the panelists who join us on stage for these kind of talks. You guys are very much operating on futuristic things, starting all the way from Joby, right? Like you guys are like in the Jetsons age or something, but in real life, right? So let me ask, like, sort of a fill-in-the-blank question to each of you is, if you look out the next 5 to 7 years, and if you had to pick one area where you think AI would have the most profound impact, AI, generative AI, whatever flavor you like, what would that be? So maybe we start with you, Tom. This is the most dumbfounded with the question. I was like, I'm going to throw it to him. Yeah.
So I think if I think specifically about what I'm focused on, which is, sort of helping whatever the business is, and in this case, it's that sort of multi-tiered traditional automotive ecosystem that's trying to create that efficient and effective connection with the customer. It's like being there where the customer is at the right place at the right time with the right message. You know, think about things like, and I don't think this is 5 years away, though I think it's pretty soon, but it does require the use of proprietary data or data that's secure and not just out there and scrapable in the universe and in the internet, but the data that's captured about a specific customer that's held within the walls of your company, and combining that with all of the generative fuel that's used by language and video and audio that's out there in the universe. So when I think about a customer, let's say, interacting through the shopping experience and them being able to essentially interact with what's now a chatbot today, it's be something that's more video and audio related. So if you think about personalized Sora, right? So you can describe to Sora what you want to see, what you want to, experience. But if Sora already knew something about you as soon as you clicked on that interface, and could also predict what you like the most based on your psychographics or demographics and your most recent behavior, then you have a much different experience than what you can get from, like, say, Sora today. But that will take a little longer because that's something like OpenAI can't do, because they have to have access to that proprietary data, whether it's in your spaces or it's about the customer for shopping for a vehicle.
Yeah, I don't know what information you have on me, man, but that sounds pretty cool, actually.
Your last oil change was.
I
Probably don't drive a ICE vehicle, though.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, but Eric.
So I think honestly, probably one guaranteed true thing is whatever we predict is wrong, because it's crazy how fast this is moving. And the thing, the announcements and the capabilities that are coming out. And I think that, maybe like some of the raw, there's different people that argue about it, the raw capabilities asymptoting or not, or trailing off. But I think that this is just like the first inning of this stuff, right? And this where you start to see the power in terms of what you can start to dream up and how you apply these things in different ways, what you start to do with this. I don't know. It's really hard to say, but I do think that it seems clear that anything that is structured and written is going to be straight in the crosshairs of this technology. Now, I don't think it means that the software engineers go away. I think it means that you up-level what you do in a way, and you actually start to be doing a lot more interesting things, because now you have an army of junior engineers effectively at your disposal all the time. Now, how do you ever get senior engineers if you never have junior? I don't know, right? That's an interesting question, but for a different panel, right? But I think that that's the type of thing
Next year.
We are almost guaranteed. We're already seeing it. We're seeing this effects already in production and work that we're producing, and so it seems inevitable that really keeps ripping along.
Chaitanya, final thoughts.
Well, close, it's difficult to predict, but if I would predict 3, 5, 7 years, I would say AI on the edge. And for me, the edge will no longer be your edge at the airports. Your edge is your device. And I look at the device as if it's a device, but for all you know, it's a wearable. And I really believe for the frontline or the workforce that we have, we will have AI on the edge, and it's difficult for me to predict what the edge will be.
It's a Neuralink.
There were a few announcements yesterday about that, right? So.
Yeah. AI, you mean Apple Intelligence? No, just kidding.
I didn't say that.
Yeah. No, but thank you guys so much. This has been a fascinating discussion. So a round of applause for our panelists here. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Always a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, have a seat. All right, last few things here. All right. Well, just have one quick update before we all go out to happy hour. All right, guys, one last quick update here. One of the things that we do here at Databricks is we reward our customers who do really, really good job at data and AI. And one of those customers, and I'm hoping they're in the room today. If you are, please raise your hands. And that award this year goes to Toyota North America. The kind of work that they're doing in supply chain, in connected vehicle space is bar none. So congratulations to Kamal and team, who I'm pretty sure you'll see at happy hour.